What Congress leader has said, well, it has raised eyebrows as the Congress leader praises the Modi government and its diplomacy. Shashi Tharoor on Tuesday conceded that he was left with egg on his face in opposing India's stance when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out and said, due to the policy that was adopted, the country is now in a position where it can make a difference to lasting peace. He said, and I quote, "I am still wiping the egg off my face because I am one person in the parliamentary debate who actually criticized the Indian position at the time in February 2022. He had earlier condemned Russia's actions, arguing that India should have denounced the aggression due to violations of the UN Charter. Now, 3 years later, Tharoor conceded that India's balanced diplomacy has placed Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a position where he can engage with both Russia and Ukraine without any hostility. Listen in to what he said.
I was the one person in the parliamentary debate who actually criticized the Indian position at the time, back in February 22, on the well-worn grounds that Espen will understand, because he and I talked about all this in my UN days, that there was a violation of the UN Charter, that there had been a violation of the principle of the inviolability of borders, of the sovereignty of a member state, namely Ukraine, and we had always stood for the inadmissibility of the use of force to settle international disputes, and all of those principles, I said, had been violated by one party, and we should have condemned it. Well, a couple of years later, 3 years later, it does look like I'm the one with egg on my face, because clearly the policy has meant that India has actually a prime minister who can hug both the president of Ukraine and the president of Moscow 2 weeks apart and be accepted in both places. And therefore, India is in a position where it can make a difference.
Let me just first make a disclaimer. Shashi is both a very dear friend, a senior, and someone I have enormous respect for. But I got to agree here that that possibly he has made a statement that I don't subscribe to, and I have a reason for that. Number one, let's not deny that Russia has been a violent aggressor, trying to basically destroy the sovereignty of Ukraine. And, no matter how tactically countries look at it from, hey, it's in my self-interest, or look at it transactionally, but how it benefits India, the truth is that Mr. Putin is deemed to be a war criminal by the International Criminal Court. Whether the jurisdiction applies to Russia and whether they are part of the treaty is irrelevant. The fact remains that innocent children have been killed, women have been killed, and India actually was very duplicitous because we did not even talk about condemning Russian aggression under Mr. Modi's government. We did not even talk about human rights violations resolutions in the UN, the one not backed by Mr. Modi's government, which I think is, somewhere down the line a moral imperative. I agree that we live in a world of realpolitik and everyone looks at, hey, did India benefit by a lot of cheap Russian oil? But I think at the end of the day, the bigger issues are human rights violations, cross-border invasion by a large country against a much weaker neighbor.
Every individual, to sooner rather than later, understands that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's diplomacy is in the interest of the country, and every step that Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes is in the interest of the country. Shashi Tharoor's latest statement is a big slap in the face of Rahul Gandhi and the entire India alliance, which does not have the wisdom or the mental capability to understand nation-first diplomacy of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This also tells you that every person, whether it is Jaya Bachchan or Shashi Tharoor, दबी आवाज में हर व्यक्ति ये कहता है, मोदी है तो मुमकिन है, राहुल है तो नामुमकिन है.
And my colleague Vasudha Venugopal is joining me for more on this. Vasudha, to take us through this interesting, statement that has come forward from Congress leader Shashi Tharoor.
Well, Aditi, Shashi Tharoor is not a regular parliamentarian. Remember that he has had a successful diplomatic career as the Under-Secretary General of the UN. He's also a Congress MP. He's also served as the HRD Minister in the past, and also presently he's the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on External Affairs. So clearly he's not a regular parliamentarian or a politician, somebody who understands external affairs and also governance. So this statement of praise of Modi's diplomacy coming from Shashi Tharoor actually holds holds a lot of gravitas and weight, and he has given a comprehensive explanation for it. Like you rightly said, he has basically said that he has been proved wrong in his assessment, in his earlier assessment, that India is doing a mistake by not calling out Russia's aggression and taking a neutral position in the Russia-Ukraine matter. In fact, he says that that is one thing that has placed India in a pivotal position to play the peacemaker and also be in a position to hug the Russian president and also speak with Zelensky, who's the Ukrainian president, in some ways trying to say that India can extract the best out of both these countries because it took a neutral position in the start, and it did not have to go back on its position. In fact, he goes on to say, and this he clearly says that it's his personal opinion and cannot be seen as a government's opinion. He says that, in fact, he's making an important suggestion that India could also play an important role in the peacekeeping missions, as it has done earlier in several peacekeeping missions, because Russia will be wary of NATO forces playing the peacemaker here. If there's an agreed upon peace, if there's a mediated peace, and that India also stands position to sort of foment its powerful influence on these matters. So clearly, Shashi Tharoor, praising Modi diplomacy is not new, but he has given a nuanced explanation to this. And also remember, he has been in news in the last few days because this Kerala politics is also hotting up and Kerala elections are coming up. He's also seen as one of the contenders for the party's CM face there, and clearly him explaining why he thinks Modi's diplomacy went right is his personal position. But of course, it also puts the Congress party in a tricky position, because the Congress party has been saying that India's diplomatic position of neutrality is not right. But Shashi Tharoor, says that what he initially thought was not right, because he clearly wanted to talk about the UN Charter. That was one time when Vladimir Putin was called a war criminal by a lot of countries. But of course, world dynamics has changed now with Trump also assuming power. So clearly a lot of things have changed. And Shashi Tharoor, Dr. Tharoor here, saying that he was wrong in his earlier assessment and praising Modi diplomacy.